Finest work. We'll take a deep breath. And Bordeaux behind the wheel at Sky One will join us very, very soon after they've just crossed the line there at Newcastle. Thanks, Bordeaux, and it's the first of the races tonight over the 660 metres. And, of course, later on in the champion distance race, we see the best stayer in the country, one of at least, at a very minimum, without a trace. Very much looking forward to that. In the meantime, this is for the rookies. It's an open race. Corey Smith, who do you think is the most likely winner of them?
I've landed on Lakeview Ian. I know Fair and Square got beaten by Lady Ness last week. I think there's a little bit more speed in this. Chironte Jewel in box number 2 might inject a little more pressure. Lakeview Ian, I think he's going to get stronger, going to get better. He's still learning his racing craft. This is his sort of distance range. I think he'll be able to lob on the back of the speed, and it's going to be either him or Emerald Downs being the one that is just camped on the back of the speed in the early stages. So that's the way that I've lent. I've gone 5, 3, 4 and 8. I think there's some serious upside over these sort of trips with Lakeview Ian, and while he's still green, I think he can follow Lady Ness across and maybe follow her into the race and show his power in the middle parts of this one.
And Brett Honey, this race features your best bet of the night. It is number 4 in Lady Ness.
Yeah, I'm keen here, Patch. I've gone 4, 2, 3, 5. I've got Lady Ness on top. I was really impressed with her effort at Bendigo last start. Led all the way in 37.66. There's probably some improvement to come from that, and I do think that that is a time that would be winning this. I've got Chironte Jewel in for second, who I think is also a chance to lead this race. I've got Emerald Downs in for third. Just thought it was going to be a little bit sticky in between who I thought were the 2 greyhounds going forward, and probably a similar tail for Lakeview Ian, who is certainly capable. But I think Lady Ness can lead, and I think if she does that, she will go all the way. 4, 2, 3, 5 for me, Patch.
All right, firstly, the quarter here at Bendigo, and it is also Pink Diamond Rookie Distance Final, the 5th of 12 big races here at Bendigo. Let's get upstairs to the voice of the Pink Diamond for 2026, Dan Hibbard.
In 38 and 18. Getting about behind the boxes now for the first leg of the quaddie. Thank you, Patch. The first leg of tonight's quaddie, the Pink Diamond quaddie tonight, 5, 6, 7 and 8. The rookie distance final, the champion distance final, the champion short course and the champion sprinter. It's a brilliant quaddie here tonight. It's a tricky leg to start on with, 360 the field. With the favourite Emerald Downs in box number 3 for Jane Garland locally. And the runners getting set for the first of the 2 distance races tonight. This is the rookie distance final. The green light turned on, lures on the move. They're set to run. And they're away. Pretty even line. Speed from Chironte Jewel is going to lead. OK Boss is getting across from the deep. And also Boulder Sail got a gun run over. Is going to get up to third around the outside of Irish Zoe. Finding bothered there was Emerald Downs. It's out of the race. So it's Chironte Jewel in front here of OK Boss, and up to third, Boulder Sail making good ground. Then came Irish Zoe. Lady Ness is up to 5th and is closing quickly as the leaders pack up. Then Lakeview Ian and Balding Sandy up to the turn. Chironte Jewel in front, but Lady Ness is a danger. OK Boss was next. It's Chironte Jewel and Lady Ness. Chironte Jewel kicked, and Chironte Jewel's going to lead all the way. Chironte Jewel has beaten OK Boss. Third in Lady Ness, every chance. 4th home was Lakeview Ian. And then came Irish Zoe from Boulder Sail, who dropped away. Balding Sandy, and the other one, Emerald Downs, has chased them all the way to the pen. And it's Chironte Jewel and Deb Carr who win the rookie distance final. Number 2.
Indeed it is. Chironte Jewel wins the Pink Diamond Rookie Distance Final. There are some great scenes behind the boxes when they cross the line, and here is the closing stages. The 7 got into the race in OK Boss for Brad Sands. Lady Ness was looking to recover, but in the end didn't recover hard enough, and Chironte Jewel wins. Perfect chance to get out to Ethan Christian to hear a very good story here.
Yes, absolutely. Look, I don't know how confident we were going into it. We spoke yesterday, you and I, Deb, about her chances of leading, and Gary, she went out and did that, didn't she?
Yeah, I was a bit worried. I thought she'd go a little bit early, but yeah, no, I'm stoked that she actually did that and did the right thing and got clear into the turn and yeah, make them chase her down. So that was good. That was awesome.
And that's all you can do. And hey, look, it's been a bit of a slow burn to get her up to this distance, but now we're up at this distance. We're front running. It's really good to see her in full flight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. I mean, she came home a little stronger today than she did last week, so that's good. And yeah, so hopefully we can keep looking at, improving the distance and see where she ends up. Yeah.
Keep kicking on, maybe head to town, and we say second up a bit stronger at the distance. It might be a master training performance over here, I'm imagining.
Of course.
Of course, yes, please take the plaudits. But no, fantastic result. Congratulations, Gary, as owner and breeder, of course, and Deb, training effort as well to get her up over the distance and across the line first. Well done, guys.
Thank you very much.
Sharenti Jewell leads all the way in the rookie distance. Lovely story with Gary and Deb, and a winning fit.
100%. Hopefully they celebrate hard and look at these scenes post-race. Brett, you mentioned before about the love that we all have for the game, and I'm sure this means plenty to Deb, despite it not being on the big stage in town. There's very few bigger stages than Pink Diamond Night here in Victoria.
Oh, yeah, and particularly we've got a really good crowd here tonight as well. So it's a massive thrill for Connections and for Deb Carr, and a good moment with Ethan there. He's had dogs with Deb Carr as well. So, no, it was a really good performance. Look, she was the one that did everything right, got to the front, stayed there, and it was a tough performance. There was a bit going on, and she was good enough to get it done. So, no, congratulations to Deb Carr.
And speaking of tough, the one you liked in Lady Ness was pretty good in the end. I mean, she's ran third, but she didn't have things her own way whatsoever.
Yeah, she just missed the start, but I thought the way that she conducted herself after that, and even turning for home, you thought, it could be a chance here. It probably just peaked on the run, but that was understandable given that the traffic that she had to navigate. So I think there's a bit to work there with Lady Ness, and I certainly think in these provincial areas on one turn, I do think that she's going to pick up a few races.
Yep, indeed. And the owner there in Gary McAuliffe, now Smithy, he owned a greyhound that I reckon you'd be very familiar with. His name was Bruce Tycoon.
He was a ripper, Bruce Tycoon, raced for a very long period of time, and I feel like he loved box one. I just remember he was a fawn dog from memory that loved looking pretty in the red, and I reckon I might have been doing one of my first nights of interviews out on the track when Bruce Tycoon was racing. So fond memories of him, that is for sure, and a good performance there from Sharenti Jewell. Went exactly the same as what it went in the early stages last week with that 4:11, and sometimes if you can skip away in these sort of races, there's such a thin sort of range between the talent levels of these dogs that if you can do the right things, put yourself in prominent positions, you can win these races. And it was good to see Emerald Downs, who took a little bit of a tumble, get back up and run through to the pen as well. Obviously didn't have a chance there, but plenty of the dogs were eye-catching performances after getting shuffled back and copping a heap of heat in the early stages going into that bend. So it's a great story for Team Carr getting the job done there, but there was some meritable performances going back into the field as well.
Yep, definitely. And Bruce Tycoon looked a lot like this girl, who are just stunning, aren't they, Brett? They're these fawn dogs. They're probably my favourite when it comes to having a favourite colour.
Yeah, I'm a brindle.
Yeah.
I like the brindle greyhounds. I had a greyhound by the name of Off the Green who was just a low grade greyhound who was brindle. But no, she's gorgeous, and yeah, she's got plenty of wins to come. Make no mistake about that. That was a good, tough performance, and it'd be interesting to see whether this greyhound does go straight up to 700 or sort of sticks to the provincial areas or even a 600 in town.
Terrific looking dogs are fawns, and Smithy, you've got a magnificent one at home, however, possibly not as talented as some of these we're seeing tonight.
No, probably could be the slowest greyhound in history. Her name's Winnie. She wasn't even good enough to name. She did everything right, but was about a second too slow to make the track. But she's beautiful. I absolutely love the fawns. We had a blue fawn going back to when I was a kid, who I think she was a Traralgon Greyhound of the Year, Laquanda, trained by the Toners back in the day. So I've always had an affinity with the fawn dogs and absolutely loved them. And Brett mentioned a good point there. Don't know whether she'll step up to the 700 or not. Sometimes these style of dogs actually run the 700 metres out on a two-turn track better than the 660 here at Bendigo. You mentioned Kanya All-Class before. He was much better over the 700 than he was over the 660. So sometimes these dogs with early speed or a blistering turn of foot, they're the sort of dogs that you want to get to town, get around the two turns, and they might be able to pinch quite a few races by highballing out in front.
Yeah, I think it's one where those at home might be wondering, well, why would it be easier to run a 700 metres? One of the theories I've always heard is on these bigger tracks, they hold their top speed for longer, where on a more circular track in town, they're sort of turning corners, so they're not at that top speed, so their stamina can be tested more so on a track like this. It is interesting, but it does make sense, and it goes to your point that some greyhounds, run the 700 easy, but they can peak on their run over a trip like this.
For sure, and a quick update on what is happening at the Cattery as well in the footy. Geelong 4-2-26, Gold Coast 3-2-20. Wouldn't that be a shock if the Suns got over the Cats at the Cattery, Brett?
I hope Geelong win. I've got to take Ethan Christian home tonight, and I would like him to be a bit more chipper in the car so he can keep me awake on the long drive back to Melbourne. So I'm going for the Cats tonight. I was there when Carlton knocked him off a couple of weeks ago, and poor Ethan had to deal with me after that.
He'd be hard to watch the footy with, I reckon. Is that right? Does he get stressed about his own mob?
The same about me. He's actually pretty well behaved.
Well, it is a tougher gig following the Blues.
Yeah, it is. He's actually seen grand finals and joyous times. So I hang on to a goal by Blake Acres in 2023. But nevertheless, it's still something.
Smith, you'd be like me, barely saying a word during the footy.
Yeah, no, I get a little bit frustrated watching, but I'm a bit of an odd footy watcher. I can kind of keep it a little bit separate, my fandom and watching the game. As long as they're playing in the right fashion, I watch a lot of off the ball stuff when I'm at the footy rather than on the ball. I'm a bit of a weird unit when it comes to my footy. So I'm a little bit sadistic as well though. So I'm happy for the Suns to win so that Ethan and Brett have a grumpy car trip home and you and I'll have a nice happy one.
Tell you what, we're all going to be happy soon. I can see a terrific plate of potato cakes and chicken strips just sitting beside the studio here. Looking forward to that when we do get a chance to do so. Hey, let's get on to this next race, which is the better of the two distance finals tonight. It features some stars. One being Without a Trace, one being Zelda Cavilla, who's normally doing his work over the 600 metres, but this is where the night really goes up a gear, Smithy.
Absolutely does. Without a Trace, I think, is the draw card on any program that she contests. And when she's coming off a track record performance at this track and trip, that's when you know that the sparks are set to fly and she's ready to go. I will say one little caveat. I do hate betting in races that Amron Toy is in because what Amron Toy is going to turn up, I have absolutely no idea, particularly from that inside draw. An absolute Learjet when at his best, but he can just put a bit of a little dampener on things at certain stages when his application starts to wander. But this is the most exciting event, I reckon, from a pure one dog that I want to see perspective, because Without a Trace at her best is absolutely box office.
Now let's take a look at her performance last week where she was at her best, breaking the track record here.